Today's sales leader faces increasing pressure and seemingly impossible quotas. And most are told the answer is more calls, more pipeline, more grind. With over 20 years in the trenches of sales leadership, I know there's a better way. Welcome to the Authentic Sales Manager podcast, brought to you by From the Heart Business Network. I'm your host, Harry Spaight. I believe in celebrating wins, visualizing success, and making sales and sales leadership honorable. Let's go. Welcome to the Authentic Sales Manager podcast. Today, you're in for a treat. We've got a fellow by the name of Joel Smith joining us from RightWorks and the great state of Arkansas. So, Joel, welcome to the show. What is the good word, my friend?
Man, thank you so much for having me here today, Harry. I'm really excited about this particular podcast. I know that I've been part of the Selling from the Heart community since its inception, honestly, with your good friend of mine, Larry, and Daryl as well. And I'm glad to see you're finally doing something for sales managers to get that selling from the heart, perspective from the management level.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's such a great topic related to sales managers to help them have a place where they can hear other sales managers gripe and moan a little bit, find out what's working for them, not feel like it's the end of the world if things aren't going so well. So right off the bat, Joel, tell me, what is an authentic sales manager to you?
Authenticity is really about being yourself. And, I don't think a lot of managers, especially when they first get into management, are themselves. They try to be something that they're typically not. Oftentimes leads to failure. Sometimes it doesn't. Maybe they're just being their authentic self. But it's about caring for people and putting other people before your own personal needs. I have always cared about other people. I don't like hurting people. I don't like hurting people's feelings. Sometimes you do that in management, but I genuinely care about people and their well-being, and I want to help them. I know that is the reason I was put on this earth, is because I care about other people. So I want to help people, and being authentic, just that means that to me is caring more about others than I do about myself.
Yeah, fantastic. It's it's a great trait. So what was your background before you got into sales leadership? Did you start out in the sales? And tell us what was your case?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I did start off in sales, and I always knew that I wanted to be in sales. And that's probably odd to hear someone say. My dad was in sales. He was a service manager for Goodyear, which included sales and service, related. And I always wanted to be in business. I wanted to be in sales. And, back when I was actually going to school and working full time at the same time, I went out and got a sales job. And you got into a technology sales. I was an athlete before that. Going through school, I was an athlete. I played team sports. So being part of a team was always very natural for me. And it wasn't, solo. It was team sports and helping each other win. It's kind of leader on some of those teams, not all the teams, but I was a leader on some of the teams, played positions where, you had to help others, and it wasn't always about yourself. Primarily, basketball was my main sport. And, I played a number of different roles on the team. I could play point guard. I could play, off guard, shooting guard. I could play, a small forward position as well. Not real tall, but I could play defense and help the rest of the team out. So being in sales, was about helping other people as well when I got into it. And, every team kind of follows the path of their leader. And I see this from still even from my coaching stints, when I was raising kids. The coaches out there, if they are loud and aggressive, the teams are going to be loud and aggressive. If they give the officials a hard time, the teams are going to give the officials a hard time. If they are caring about people and the coaches show empathy, your players are going to show that same empathy. So you have to make sure as a leader, you're a role model for your team. A lot of my management style comes because I got into coaching. I was already a manager, But when I got into coaching kids and realized I really have to set an example here, I'm leading and mentoring these kids, that actually made me a better manager. It I realized that I had to go back and really change some of the things that I did and be a role model for these people. It wasn't about telling, it was about helping them achieve their goals. And those kids out on the field, I had to help them achieve their team goals and learn their skill as an individual player to support the team. I had to do the same thing then at work. It just made me a much better manager. In my opinion, might be might have a different opinion.
I like what your analogies are here because I love sports. And really, how does that tie into sales leadership, would you say?
Well, when you are running the team, I mean, it is about being in charge, and you see a quarterback out there. Quarterback's the is the quarterback, right? You know, that's the I guess the definition behind it is they're leading that team. Point guard is the quarterback, you know, for the team. A lot of times in baseball, you could have a pitcher or catcher kind of leading the team. You have an outfielder who runs the outfield, the center fielder runs the outfielder. So you've always got leaders on the
Mm.
team that are directing other people, and they have to have a skill set to be able to verbalize, you know, what they want them to do and coach them to understand when I do this, I need you to do that. When they do this, you should be doing that. That's really what managing is trying to help people bring out the best of them individually, but also supporting the team goals at the same time. You know, from an empathy standpoint, the best way that I have found to get people to do that is to get to know them. And when
Yeah,
I say
this
get to
is
know them, I mean deep down personal get to know them. There's a lot of times people will throw up roadblocks because they're not overly sharing people. And it takes a while sometimes to break that barrier down. But I've encountered people like that where some people want to share with you right off the bat. They have no issues with that. Other people are a little bit more cautious, like, I don't really know you. I'm going to withhold that information. But over a period of time, you show them that you're working for them. You're not managing them. You're working for them and trying to help them. And you ask a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, personal. And they keep telling you a little bit more and more and more. And then when you meet with them, you're asking them about these scenarios, their personal aspects of their life. And they say, oh, wow, well, this is not about business at all. This is really, he's trying to get to know me. And they share a little bit more. And I'm always sharing information about myself. A mentor, and I think you've heard this before, sharing is caring, right? The more you share, the
exactly.
more they care. And I was trained that or taught that, you know, many, many years ago. And I've tried to employ that tactic. And I hate to use the word tactic because it seems like I'm maybe being manipulative, but I'm really trying to get to know people. Because if you understand them, you understand their goals, you understand how what's important to them, then you can actually try to help them achieve those goals. And it's not always about work. Sometimes they just need to have somebody else to talk to,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
absolutely. Joel, let's take a quick break to hear from our
Yep.
sponsor. But when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about this empathy and getting to know your team. So thank you, Joel, and we'll be right back.
If you were buying a company, you wouldn't just glance at the website and say, looks good, let's buy it. You'd do your due diligence. You'd review the books, check the leadership, dig into performance history.
Exactly. You never spend millions on a company without knowing what you're getting. Yet, most CEOs hire salespeople with nothing more than a resume and a gut feeling.
That's why we recommend Sales Index Unlimited Candidate Assessments. It's like due diligence for your sales hires. Each sales candidate is evaluated across 21 core sales competencies because a crucial role like sales requires more than a personality profile. Sales Index compares candidates against a database of 2.5 million salespeople. You'll know exactly who has the drive, the grit, and the skills to perform before you bring them on board.
Because in sales, a bad hire doesn't just cost salary, it costs momentum, margin, and morale.
For just $299 a month, you can protect your growth engine and make every sales hire a smart investment.
Do your due diligence before your next hire.
Go to unlimited.salesindex.ai. That's unlimited.salesindex.ai and hire with confidence.
Joel Smith, who's joining us on the Authentic Sales Manager. We are just talking about empathy and getting to know your team so that they can perform better. Salespeople in general like to be recognized, and they are driven by money. Well, that may be true, but it's not always true. So getting to know the person or getting to know the individuals on your team can help you figure out how they like to be inspired. So what is it you do, Joel, to get to know the people on your team?
Well, it is about just getting to know them on a personal level. When I join a team, if I'm taking over a team and I've done change management for a good portion of my career, it's really about getting to know everybody as an individual. So let's just take a team I have now where I've got a couple people that are in their mid 20s. And then I've got another one that's right around, the 50th age. I'll say I believe that. I'm not a good judge of age sometimes. And then I've got two of them about that age. And then another one that's, 60 plus. And so they are all at different stages in their life. They are all not going to have the same goals in life. If you ask the ones that are in the 20, what's their driving force? They're both going to tell you it's money. They're both trying to build something right now for the future. They both, have significant others that they want to provide for. One's actually engaged, so he's got a marriage coming up. Money's very important to him, right? Got the ones that are in their 50s that they're not close to retirement age, but they have maybe kids that are in college. And so they still have financial concerns that they're dealing with. Money's important to them, but spending time with the family is important to them as well. And being able to, manage life. And there's a lot of life challenges, right, at that mid 50 age, right? 60 plus, you're talking about now, hey, kind of maybe on cruise control, but I still like making money. I still need to make money. Maybe I haven't got all my retirement money yet. I have some retirement goals. I need to figure out how I'm going to get there. Everybody has different challenges. So you just start off by asking them, tell me, what's important to you? What is it you're trying to accomplish? What is your next goal? If you had to set one goal for the rest of this year, what is it you want to accomplish? So let's just start from there and probably back down from there into, tell me about your family life. Hey, what do you like to do when you're not working? I love that question. I even like that question when I'm interviewing. Yeah. I like to ask that because I want to know about that person, because they want to know, can they work for me? I want to know, can I work with them? Right. So if you can ask them more on those personal levels so that they understand it's not always about work. And sometimes I get on one-on-ones and it's not about metrics. It is not about the sales that you made last week. It's tell me what you're struggling with, this week. You seem a little bit off this week. Tell me what's going on. Let's just talk through this. Maybe I can help you. I've had a lot of life experiences. Hey, whenever I was like that, this is what was going on in my life. You share with them, they're probably going to share back if you've already built a relationship. And again, they don't all start sharing with you right off the bat. It takes time. And I did have one young lady who it took months and months for me to break down those barriers. But she and I are very, very tight, have a very close relationship right now. And I love helping her because she is excited about being a top producer and I want to help her get there.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I mean, it is amazing that, the way to build trust is not by saying you can trust me.
Right.
I wish it would be that easy, but it isn't.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Sometimes the trust that your team gives you doesn't come from conversations that you've had with them. It's about fighting for your team and making the changes or getting changes done in the company, the organization, the processes, procedures, products, you name it, fighting for them to get them what they actually need, the tools that they need in order to succeed. Sometimes that doesn't take place in a one-on-one session. It rarely does. It takes place behind the scenes, but then when you're able to bring that back to the team, and I know my team knows that I will fight for them. I did,
So
a
good.
month and a half ago, we had a sales kickoff, and I was surprised and honored with an award, being the top sales manager in the company. And I didn't see it, but my a colleague of mine said your entire team was standing up and applauding for you, and
Nice.
that meant a lot to me. That told me that I had actually gotten through, that they do have I do have their trust, and that was a it was a very touching moment to know that they had all got up and were applauding for me.
Yeah, it's outstanding. But we got to take a quick break to hear a
Okay.
word from our sponsor.
If you were buying a company, you wouldn't just glance at the website and say, looks good, let's buy it. You'd do your due diligence. You'd review the books, check the leadership, dig into performance history.
Exactly. You never spend millions on a company without knowing what you're getting. Yet, most CEOs hire salespeople with nothing more than a resume and a gut feeling.
That's why we recommend Sales Index Unlimited Candidate Assessments. It's like due diligence for your sales hires. Each sales candidate is evaluated across 21 core sales competencies, because a crucial role like sales requires more than a personality profile. Sales Index compares candidates against a database of 2.5 million salespeople. You'll know exactly who has the drive, the grit, and the skills to perform before you bring them on board.
Because in sales, a bad hire doesn't just cost salary, it costs momentum, margin, and morale.
For just $299 a month, you can protect your growth engine and make every sales hire a smart investment.
Do your due diligence before your next hire.
Go to unlimited.salesindex.ai. That's unlimited.salesindex.ai and hire with confidence.
Welcome back to the Authentic Sales Manager podcast. With me is Joel Smith, and we're just talking about recognition. Joel received some recently, and he found out that his team was applauding him. So, Joel, why were they so happy for you?
I think it does come down to, they ended up trusting me because I fight for them. We talk a lot in our team meetings about what we need, and weeks go by, sometimes months go by, and you don't see any change. And then, I'm able to bring it to the table to them and say, hey, this is what we're able to do. This is what we got done. But it's really about, they know that I care about them as individuals. It is not about the team. It's not about the company. It's not about the revenue. I care about them each as an individual, and I want to help each one of them succeed. I think I've proven that to them on a day in, day out basis. And there's times when you want to get something for them and you fail, but your team sees you fighting for them, and they can respect that. You're not going to win every battle, and sometimes you have to learn just to say, I'm going to let it go. And there's things that I've had to let go of where I didn't win the battle, but my team knew I was fighting for them. And
I love
you
that.
take that back to your athlete days, your athletic days, when you fight till the very end. You don't ever quit.
Exactly. When you said sometimes you fight for your team and it doesn't work out and you have to let it go, that's not easy to do. You have to just let it go and say, we're going to focus on doing what we can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all good. It's control the controllables, and I've had 4 one-on-one meetings today, with some of my sales team members, and is exactly the scenario that you described. What rep was late coming into the meeting. She says, "Well, give me just a minute. I'm trying to finish up this order," and it's all digital, but it doesn't matter whether it's a $13 item, or a $100 item, or whatever your financial model is. It takes the same amount of time to enter that order. And it's time consuming. Do most C-levels understand that? Probably not, because they didn't come up through that system and have to worry about entering those orders, or if they did, they've forgotten it. And a lot of times, these systems change. From our meeting standpoint, I encourage them just to worry about what you can control. You can't control the products. You can't control the pricing, that the company says this is what we got to sell it at. You can't control those margins sometimes. You can't really control what your customers are going to say or do. What you can control is your activity and your attitude. Those are the two primary things that you've got to control. And, when you're calling your customers, your attitude needs to be in check, and you got to make sure that you're persistent about making calls and setting meetings with clients and doing your best to serve them.
So good.
Good leaders,
Talk to
good
me.
managers, we're not here to close deals for you. We're here to teach you how to close those deals yourself and create other leaders.
Oh
And I'm
my
a
goodness.
firm believer in that, is that you're not serving them. If you're coming in there trying to save their deals, you've got some other issues that you need to work on with them at that point.
Oh, that's such a great topic, Joel. Some think the sales manager is the superstar closer, right? That they close all the deals. In B2B sales, you want your team developing so that they don't depend on the manager. So teaching them how to ask for the order is so much better than doing everything yourself as the superstar closing manager. So what's your thought on that?
Well, being in that management leadership role, 90% of it should be coaching, 10% of it should be everything else. And, you know, it's much easier to work through people than it is managing people. And if you are consistent about your approach to handling people and how you do it, people are willing to actually work for you. And I think that you'll find that in companies where you have leaders like that, that your turnover is probably less as well.
Yeah.
People want to work for people that they can like and trust. And they, obviously you got to treat them fairly, and people's lives change. Sometimes they have to change jobs for a number of different reasons. And you certainly want to wish them the best. Maybe someday they turn around and they send somebody your way, or they decide, you know what, that was the best gig I ever had, and they come back. So treat them with respect, help them achieve their goals, and work through them, and don't tell them what to do. You're probably going to be better served.
Yeah, very nice. Joel, I got to ask, what is it you'd like to do to keep you positive and upbeat in spite of maybe a challenging month or a challenging quarter where things may not be as rosy as we'd like them to be?
Mentally, I exercise, and it's a daily activity for me every morning to get the juices flowing. But every day you have the opportunity to create a new version of yourself. If yesterday didn't work out for you, if yesterday you made mistakes, if yesterday you said something that you probably could have phrased better, you have an opportunity every single day to correct that and make yourself a better person. My wife would tell you, I think I'm perfect. And I say no, but I strive for perfection every single day. I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. I'm not in competition with you. I'm not in competition with the other managers in the company. I'm in competition with myself to be a better person, a better manager, a better leader every day. And I owe it to the people that work with me every single day to be that.
Oh, it's really nice. I love it. Joel, you told us earlier about being an authentic sales manager was being real, was being empathetic towards others. What would you say to the listener who's tuning in for the first time about sales leadership, and what advice would you give them?
Check your ego at the door. There's no place in leadership or management for that big ego. It's about serving other people. If you learn to take care of other people and help them achieve their goals, you're going to achieve your own personal goals. But check your ego at the door. And I didn't always have that, but I've had some good mentors in my time to help me see through that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Check the ego at the door. Come back, listen to the Authentic Sales Manager podcast, and we are very grateful that, Joel, you have joined us today. All the best to you, sir. This has been great.
Thank you, Harry. It's been my honor.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Joel.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Authentic Sales Manager podcast, brought to you by From the Heart Business Network. If today's conversation resonated, rate, review, and share it with a sales leader who needs to hear this. Keep celebrating wins and making sales leadership honorable. See you next time.